Hey, what's going on, everybody? Phased in podcast. Right now, I want to go over this story that's coming out of Houston, Texas, I believe. They're calling the story "The House of Horror." Story of four children being found in an apartment. Three of them alive and one actually deceased. Skeletal remains. This is the interview. I just want to kind of cut up bits and pieces of it to just give my reaction to certain parts of it.
On Sunday, our patrol deputies and investigators responded to a gruesome child abandonment case. For many agency veterans, it was the most disturbing scene they worked in their entire law enforcement career. It seemed too horrific to be real. It's hard to even explain to you that feeling. Our investigators immediately began piecing together what happened and trying to unfold a seemingly senseless death of a child who was supposed to be loved and cared for, and trying to understand unspeakable living conditions for the dead child's siblings who were left alone for months to fend for each other.
Okay, like the sheriff is saying, these kids were left in an apartment. Four children, 15, 10, 7, and 9. 9 is the deceased child. Left in an apartment by their parents for months. They lived in this apartment without their parents. And their deceased brother in the room.
Briefly, I want to provide a scene recap. On Sunday, October 24th, 2021, at about 3:15 p.m., our deputies received a phone call from a 15-year-old child who advised that his brother had been dead for a year and his body was in an apartment unit at 3530 Greencrest near West Park Tollway. He also stated that his parents had not lived in the apartment in West Harris County with him and his siblings for several months.
So the 15-year-old finally had enough. I don't know how he came to his breaking point, but thank God he did. He had enough he decided that he was going to call the cops and let them know what was going on in the house after they've been in this house for over a year.
Our patrol deputies found a 15-year-old and two other male children in an apartment unit ages 10 and 7 who appeared malnourished and showed signs of physical injury. They also found skeletal dry remains. The Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit, Child Abuse Unit, and Crime Scene Unit
I just want to take it from right here. They found skeletal dry remains. Do you know how long it takes for a body to decompose? And then this story, it gets me upset every single time I hear about this. Like, who does this? Why would you do that to any child? As a parent, like, why would you let someone else, anyone, hurt your kid or even want to hit your kid for that matter, and then leave them in an apartment?
Investigators responded to the scene. The children were taken to a local hospital to be assessed and treated. The Texas Department of Family and Protective Services received emergency custody of them. Now, the mother of the children, 35-year-old Gloria Yvette Williams, and her boyfriend, 31-year-old
Just want to stop right here. Let's see exactly who Gloria is. That's the mother, right there. That's the mom. That's the mother right there. And this is Brian, who is the boyfriend. That's Brian, right there. And this is them together. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Let's continue.
Brian Ward Coulter were located late Sunday night and interviewed by investigators before being released without charges. Now, I think it's important to note that at that point, it's still an ongoing active investigation. We didn't find them until late that night. And so we have to make sure that we're being thorough, not getting ahead of the evidence and the investigation that's ongoing. And so at that point, they were released.
Now, when I found out about this, I lost my mind because I'm sitting there like, what do you mean? You brought them in and you let them go? Like you just found the 15-year-old just called you and said, hey, we've been in this apartment for a year and my dead brother is in the other room and you find the skeleton and you take them into Child Protective Services, and then you find the parents later and you interview them and let them go? I couldn't believe I heard that. I couldn't. I know everybody was outraged with it.
Without any charges. On Tuesday, October 26, 2021, the Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit charged the mother's boyfriend, Brian Coulter, with the murder of the child, who was confirmed to be 8 years old at the time of his death in 2020. The manner and cause of death were ruled a murder by multiple blunt force injuries, according to the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences. The mother of the murdered child, Gloria Yvette Williams, was charged with injury to a child by omission and tampering with evidence. Both Williams and Coulter were taken into custody without incident by our criminal warrants unit investigators.
I just want to stop it right there, right? This guy, Brian, this is a big guy right here, right? Big man. You killed a 9-year-old child. A 9-year-old. And Gloria, what type of person are you, knowing that this man killed your kids? He killed one of your kids. I'm sorry. And you decide to leave your kids in an apartment with their dead brother while you go be with this guy that killed one of your kids? Like, stuff like this disgusts me.
And this remains an active, and I introduce Sergeant Wolford.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning. Again, my name's Sergeant Dennis Wolford. I'm the supervisor of the homicide unit that was tasked with investigating this. It's a group of 6 investigators. The lead investigator is actually Deputy John Craig. Child abuse also made the scene with us, and they were invaluable in the input that they gave us dealing with CPS and things like that. One of the things that I want to express, I know that there was a lot of people upset that these people weren't taken into custody right away. And one of the things you have to understand is, one, the law of statements, the laws of the state of Texas, and how we get these things into trial. We knew at that point that these children were safe because they were in CPS custody, and the decision was made not to arrest that night. And the reason is because a lot of evidence has to come in before we can actually file charges, including a ruling from the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences on what caused this child's death. We also had numerous people, forensic interviews with the children and stuff like that had to be done. Plus, we have to corroborate what the children are telling us before charges can be filed. So believe me, we, from the very beginning, me, the 6 of us, the child abuse guys, we were focused on getting these charges done. We wanted to get them done as quickly as possible. But above all murder investigations, child deaths, child murders, they are methodical investigations. And our end goal is to see that justice is served, not to just put.
All right, now, I'm glad he said that, because like I told you, when I first found out they got let go, I was losing my mind. But then it does make sense. The children are already in Child Protective Services. All right, they let them go. I know they have to have eyes on the parents. They're not going anywhere. The moment they even try to do something after this, they're going to be right on them. So now I get it. I understand it now.
People in jail who want justice to be served. I will answer any questions that
It's our understanding that the children that were present in the apartment, that there were two fathers involved. Not involved in the scene, what I'm saying in terms of connected to them. We're told, we haven't confirmed it yet, but that one is possibly deceased already and the other was simply not involved in the lives of the children, so they were not in the picture. There's also, I believe, at least 2 other siblings that were not in the apartment that are elsewhere as well. So I just wanted to mention that we are aware of those dynamics.
So in total, this lady, Gloria, has 6 children. And by 2 different guys. And I believe what I read, the oldest one is she has 2 there are 2 sisters. I believe one is 17, the other one is like 2, and they're staying with someone else. And you had the 4 brothers that were in the apartment
as well.
So the 9-year-old does have an injury to the jaw that we come to believe was caused to his jaw by.
So come to find out, hold on, let me stop this right here. So Brian didn't just stop with, killing one of the kids. he kept going. Like, Brian was an abuser. He hit the other kids. So now they finally get the kids into Child Protective Services. Now they find out the one kid has a broken jaw that he's had for a couple of weeks, that the mother, Gloria, did nothing about it, but just let him sit there with a broken jaw. Like, what type of parent are you to let your kids sit there and even to let someone do that to your kids, let alone if your kids are in pain, you just let them sit there while you leave? Fuck out of here.
The boyfriend, Brian Coulter, several weeks ago. There was no medical attention given for that injury. That injury is going to cause, he's going to have surgery, and that surgery will happen soon. They were very thin. One of the first things I asked them,
This is Brian right here.
Were they hungry? They said they were.
And may this little angel rest in peace. Didn't have a chance. It's very heartbreaking, and we offer our condolences, just to the siblings that remain, and anyone that has ever cared for these children in some form or fashion. And so our heart breaks for them, and we're going to do everything possible to be their aspects through the part of the system that we control, and that we leave no stone unturned, as I promised at the scene. And we will also, our prayer, or my prayer, is that the remaining children find the love, support, and protection that they so desperately need and deserve, and that they have been missing for so long. And I hope that their future is better than their past. We're also told that they hadn't been in school since last May, so for more than a year they've been missing out on that as well.
So way to go, Gloria. Your kids you don't have the kids in school. One of them is deceased, and now you have the other three just living in an abandoned apartment while you and Brian moved out and completely started a whole nother life and just completely forgot about these kids. Good job, Gloria.
There's a lot of factors to this, a lot of moving parts, and so that's where we're at right now. I'll go ahead.
So the 9-year-old does have an injury to the jaw that we come to believe was caused to his jaw by the boyfriend, Brian Coulter, several weeks ago. There was no medical attention given for that injury. That injury is going to cause, he's going to have surgery, and that surgery will happen soon. They were very thin. One of the first things I asked them, are they hungry? And they said they were. And
back to the different parts, we had the dry remains, skeletal remains that were present. So clearly, in our initial observations, the body had been there for a long time, and so that was disturbing.
For a body to turn into complete skeletal remains, it's been there for a while. Like, and the fact that Gloria knew that her son was in that apartment deceased. She knew that. Never gave him a funeral, gave him no medical attention, gave none of the kids any medical attention. But this is a lady that wants to be called a mom. Like, man.
But on top of that, we had a serious injury to another small child that apparently had not received, to our knowledge, any kind of medical attention, any pain treatment or anything like that during the course of this. I also want to point out as well, I mentioned a little bit that the apartment was in a deplorable condition. We saw soiled carpet, no furniture at all, no bedding, no blankets, nothing that we could see.
This right here, that's the apartment right over there.
What I think roaches and flies and just things. It was very bad condition for anyone, especially children, to live in.
I do not believe that the two young boys were ever allowed to leave that apartment. There is some evidence that perhaps they were locked in, possibly different parts of the apartment, and they were not to leave that apartment, from what I understand.
With what you can tell,
I believe it was absolute fear.
Thank God he finally decided to call. Thank God.
This mother and her boyfriend have been together for a few years now, a couple years. And over time, I think that the beatings were consistent and mainly, involving the younger children. And the 15-year-old just absolutely afraid and was basically hoping or relying on his mother to at some point contact law enforcement and advise of his deceased brother in the house, and that didn't happen. And I think
Gloria never did that because she failed him.
The 15-year-old boy finally said enough is enough, and that's when he decided to contact law enforcement.
So those children have been through a lot of trauma, and so, again, I mean, the fear, the death of a sibling and other.
I just want to pause this. I went through Brian's Instagram page, and let me tell you, these kids were in this apartment, for a year, eating whatever scraps that they can get. The mom bringing them back noodles and stuff like that. Look at what Brian and the mom was doing on Valentine's Day. That's what Brian ate right there. You could go to his Instagram page. I'm not going to say it out over this, but I'm pretty sure you could find it. That's one of the meals. That's what he ate. And here's another one. There's Brian. And if you can see, that's Gloria right behind him. Now, he's sitting there with his drink and he got his food. These kids are in an apartment by themselves with nothing. Nothing. They're in an apartment with power. You can see this right here. Living a lot better of a life. And this is look at this. Look at this too. This Brian guy. Look at this. Look at this clown. That's what he is. He's a clown. Now, check this out. To top it off, where is it at? Where is it at? Brian has this great tattoo. You're going to like this. Look at this. Family over everything. Family over everything. Family over everything. I'm going to leave that right there.
Things, it's just heartbreaking, and so the trauma is just, I don't know, where they were at, the boyfriend and the mother, generally speaking, and I said that they were living in a separate apartment of their own. And so the follow-up question was,
they were living in a separate apartment
more decent
on Valentine's Day.
More well taken care of than the one the kids were in. So I don't know if we know that detail, but do we know the condition of the apartment they were in?
We do not know that yet. We have, we're in contact with that complex, and that is on the follow-up stuff we have to do in this week, is to go over there and document what this is a textbook case of a person that abuses children. And the mindset, the demeanor, the children that are abused, 7, 9 years old, 12 years old, very, very vulnerable children. One of the things, these are also something that's probably not out yet, is that these are special needs children. And so you have a
special needs children. And you're going to let this man do this to your kids.
This mother had a year to contact law enforcement. So you can't tell me that for every minute for a year, you were afraid. But this is a classic child abuser. So someone that picks on.
The mother, we believe, was providing some food by delivery service or having food dropped off on a fairly routine basis. I didn't see anything that was
had food dropped off, but she wouldn't stay in that house.
More like junk food.
Just had the food dropped off and just leave, right? Drop some junk food off to him and leave. These are your kids. These are your kids. I mean, the story's sad. I want to do the story to bring some type of awareness to, you never know what someone's going through. And God, you never knew anything like this could possibly be happening. But I'm going to put both of their pictures back up here so that everybody knows exactly who they are. And also, I want to put this up here. If you know anyone that's any child that's maybe being abused, please, let me move this. Please reach out. Every state has an 800 number for abuse. Please reach out. And again, just trying to, maybe I'll come back with a follow-up to this story, but I mean, just this. Justice has to be done for these kids. I pray that someone in the family could step up and, maybe take custody of all three of them, or I don't know. But, please keep them in your prayers. Phased in, phased out.